Stay with us. We've got the six screens coming up next. JW World News.
You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, in Disney.
Well, here we go. Another rockin' awesome night. Nice and cool up here in Boston. Hopefully we can send you some of that cool air your way if you're roasting. But stay with us tonight. The stories we'll be talking tonight are roasting. They're red hot, right off the press. Stay with us. Don't you just love it? Don't you just love what's going on in the Watchtower? Friends, I tell you every week, the more excited I get. We are watching a religious organization, if you want to call it that. I call it a cult, but you can call it what you want. But we are watching a religious cult collapsing. They are crumbling. I don't know where they're going to go. Right now, they're up to their neck. If they were in a river, trying to cross a river, you walk in, you get your toes wet, you get your knees wet, you get your thigh wet, you get your chest wet. These guys are up to their neck right now. They're ready to go under. Do you know that? The Watchtower is ready to go under. Well, anyways, my name's Rick Ferrin, and I'm coming to you from the epicenter of apostasy. Well, we call it the capital for apostasy from all over the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And we have been doing this for 16 years. We're not giving up now. Well, why would you give up now? We are now making progress. We never made the progress that we're making now. We're getting points on the scoreboard. And all the PMOs, my goodness, coming out of the organization. It's like unbelievable. And isn't that a good thing? Well, we're so glad, and we got PMOs listening in here tonight. We got PMEs listening in here tonight. Well, you're probably saying, well, what is a PMO? Well, you guys know. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but we do have some new people on here tonight. So what a PMO is, that would be a Jehovah's Witness that is, well, he's still going to the meetings. He's mentally he's physically in, he's still going back and forth to the meetings, but he's mentally out. Or she, they don't believe in the Watchtower teachings anymore. And how about a PME? That's one that's still physically in and mentally in. Oh, they're locked. They're in the cult, but maybe there's hope for them too. And then we have PMQs. Those are ones that are questioning, physically in, but questioning. So anyways, we're glad you're with us. And oh, friends, I have to say, it's cool. A cool day up in Boston. Here it is going on summer, but we were down to I believe it was 52 degrees this morning. I know in some parts of the country, you guys are sweating like crazy, but we want to come to you tonight and hopefully we can bring you some nice, refreshing thoughts to cool you down a little bit if you're in the heat zone across America or across the world. And anyways, like I say, we've been doing the program for a long time. And we never, ever got the news that we're getting coming across the presses that is online is where I get the news. We have never got so much news. We started 16 years ago. You know what the biggest news stories were in the Watchtower? Well, it was all about, especially in the summer, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they're meeting for a convention in Omaha, Nebraska. How wonderful it is. The people of Omaha love the witnesses. Yeah, they love the witnesses' money. So they had all these Chamber of Commerce news articles in the newspapers, and that was about the only news 16 years ago. But then all of a sudden I noticed as we started going forward, there was more and more critical news. And then, of course, Google. they came out with their alerts. So you could just punch Jehovah's Witness into Google. You could get the alert and you could find out a lot of things that are going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, I get news from Google. I get news from JWN. I get news from Reddit. I get news from our Facebook groups. I get news from YouTube videos. There's so much. There's a proliferation of negative, critical, cynical news concerning the Watchtower. And why wouldn't there be? These guys are, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go on the record. I'm going to call them criminal. At this point, I'm going to call them criminal. And it's really flabbergasting me that these bums aren't being investigated by more nations, more countries around the world. We know they're being invested by many countries. Boy, I just wish America, I just wish the good old USA would take a good look at this witness organization and really put some fire under their shoes, so to speak. Let them know that, man, they are stamping on grounds that aren't good. I hope that can happen. Well, anyways, let's see what's going on. I tell you all the time that this is my favorite night of the week. Do I tell you that? Yes, I do, because it is. This is great. I've only met a handful of you folks in person, but I'm so glad when you guys can come into my studio every Saturday night. And boy, what a good time we have together, don't we, folks? And so I'm going to get into the news. Let's get into it right away. The very first thing I want to talk about here tonight is, have you ever heard of remote translation offices? We've talked about it a few times here on the Six Screens JW World News, but what is an RTO? That's what the Watchtower calls them. And what they are is a translation office where translators for different languages would come and work for the Watchtower, and they would translate Watchtower information, Watchtower talks into the native language. So I can understand that. I mean, the Watchtower is a large organization worldwide. So, they do have Bibles and they do have videos and they have publications that they have to print in different languages, So they do need translators, right? So anyways, let me just give you a little idea how the full-time translation teams work. Well, they don't work at the branch office. They don't work at Wallkill. They don't work at Warwick or Patterson, from what I understand. They work at what they call remote translation offices, RTO. That's the acronym, RTO. Now, why is this arrangement so beneficial to the Watchtower? Well, these translators, it's best that they go to the country where they're going to be translating information for the Watchtower. So the Watchtower has to have some offices pretty much around the world, so these Watchtower translators can go to the different locations, and they're in a native country where they can speak the language. So Watchtower figures it's better for them to be in the country. Now, let me tell you that this is what really gets my goat. In 1866, the London Times wrote, "For all practical purposes, Welsh is a dead language." Welsh, the Welsh language. Not many people speak it. It's like a dead language. So you might say, well, why should I care about that? I don't care if Welsh is a dead language. Well, I care about it because guess what? The Watchtower is translating some of their publications in Welsh. Friends, it's a dead language. So the Watchtower says they have to do it, but this is what really got me thinking. The Watchtower organization, in where this translating department is, in the area of where they speak the Welsh language, they bought a property for $1,425,000 almost $1.5 million for the purpose of setting up the Welsh Language Translation Center. And this looks like a palatial mansion. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share this. Let me just see if I can't get this up. So if you're on our Six Screens YouTube channel, you'll see it. I want you to see how expensive this is. It's unbelievable. Just trying to get my okay, here we go. I'm trying to get it up here for us folks, so just give me a second. So anyways, what we've got here is a beautiful mansion that the Watchtower actually set this up, and I'm going to show you some of the pictures of the mansion. Hopefully you guys can see this, so let me just get this up on YouTube and on Facebook so you'll be able to see it. So here it is, and I think you can see it right now if you're on our YouTube channel. All right, now it doesn't really show it as big as I'd like, but you get the idea. It's a palatial looking, beautiful mansion, really, is what it is. And in fact, the Welsh language, it's like I say, I know Welsh is not completely dead. I see the writing in. There still is some people that speak Welsh, but the mass majority of people don't speak Welsh anymore. But there they are. And let me scroll down. I'm going to show you how beautiful this mansion is. Let me just scroll down. I can scroll down here, and you can see different pictures of it. This is the inside. Now look at that. You might not see it as good as I would like you to see it because it's small, but look at this beautiful glass windows, hardwood floors. Look at the expensive leather furniture. Now this is all for the translators. And look at this. Look at this beautiful kitchen. Oh my goodness, look at this beautiful granite top, ceramic tile floor. I mean, the Watchtower doesn't spare any expense. And look out the patio. My goodness, look how beautiful that is. On the patio, you can walk outside, and there's a beautiful river. And look how beautiful that is. My goodness, wouldn't you like to be a translator for the Watchtower? Well, I wanted to bring.
That'd be nice, Rick. If I could get a brother that talks like Richard Burton, I might go back.
Well, Pixie, I have to tell you, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place in the Watchtower, but this isn't the only one they've got. They've got many of these translating offices, RTO offices all around the world. And
I think they could make the ones in Africa a little bit bigger.
Well, that would be good if they could. If they could just build some of the kingdom halls a little better, all these palatial mansions. But I wanted to bring that up to you. This is a the patio. I fell in love with the patio. I'd love to live there myself. A cast iron raised hearth, outdoor fireplace, televisions, oak flooring, vaulted ceilings, double glazed patio doors and windows right there on the straits, right there at a beautiful river. What a view. What a view. Friend.
Hey,
yes.
This is Chewy.
Yes, Chewy. Yes, Chewy.
That is not going to be a translation office. That is going to be a weak resort for the governing body is what that's going to be. That ain't going to have nothing to do with no translation.
Well, there
you already shut down.
Yeah, right. Chewy.
Oh, that's exactly what it's doing. Yeah. They shut down. They shut down the one in Arizona with the Navajo Nation. I got a friend that goes out there, and they shut down that one. They don't even have Watchtowers in Navajo now. They got to translate them. They got to translate the English Watchtowers into Navajo.
Yeah. Well,
hey, Rick,
yes.
Chewy's right. Chewy's right. It's a front.
Yeah, it's a front, Dick. It's just a way. I mean, they did it with Beth Sareem. They tried to give you a con job on that. They tried to tell you that, Judge Rutherford bought it. So the ancient worthies, the old prophets, Moses, Judah, Jacob, all of the old prophets were going to come back and they were going to live there in the mansion. That's baloney. But the witnesses believed it. The witnesses believed it.
What's that scripture about showy displays of one's means of life? Where is that?
I don't know. I know the scripture, but I don't know where it is off the top of my head. Yeah, maybe somebody knows where it is. They could share it with us. Yeah, I mean, is the Watchtower a showy display? I think they are. Why? I mean, but the world is catching up on them, and I'm glad Chewy chimed in and said that too. He realizes that there's more than one, and it's not a place where they're going to translate. You could translate, for goodness sakes, in your bedroom at your house. Everything's done online these days. You don't have to go to a luxurious mansion like that. Come on, let's get real. All right. So,
Hello, Rick.
yes.
Hi, Rick. It's Constance. I just wanted to say that, I'm listening to what you're saying. I can't see unless I get on Facebook, but I was going to say I'd like to just remind everybody listening that all that money came from all the brothers and sisters with their donations over the years, and all of their blood, sweat, and tears, and building the kingdom halls and the assembly halls and Watchtower, selling them off so they could gain all this money. I'm really glad that you're showing, and exposing Watchtower for the hypocrisy, because it is a showy display of one's means of life. That scripture was pounded into our brains, Rick, that we needed to be very humble and not be materialistic. And yet, look at where Watchtower is doing, number one, and then look at where all the money came from. It came from all of us. So thank you, Rick.
Well, you're welcome, Constance. Thank you for chiming in. But, they always do present this humble image. And even when I visited back in 2000, the year 2000, I visited the world headquarters, and I had a very special tour down there. I got to meet with Brother Loesch, and he was showing me around his office on the 4th floor in Brooklyn. And when you first walk into the Watchtower lobby at 25 Columbia Heights, it's not there now. They moved up to Warwick. But when they had the headquarters at 25 Columbia Heights, you walk in, there's a big, beautiful globe, made out of steel. And I'm looking at that, and it's beautiful. And I was wondering where they got that globe. I mean, if you bought that globe from whoever made it, you'd probably have to pay $1 million. But oh no, brother Sidlick, I believe it was at the time, he told me that they got that from a bank that went out of business. Everything is like, they try to make it seem like, oh, we're so humble and we don't have any money. Oh, no, they've got a lot of money and they got these mansions all over the place. So these are homes. This is where the governing body would go. This is where the mucky mucks would go. A great getaway, but you're not going to find any translators there. You're really not. But it's a great game. But the game's over, Watchtower. The game is over. Well,
hey, Rick, how do they justify closing branch offices and then opening these media centers that's, like a luxury hotel? How do they justify that?
Well, they justify it by simply, we closed this branch down because, the cost was too expensive or some other reason, governmental persecution or whatever. But on the other hand, they will set these media. They're going for this big media center. Well, they got one already in Australia, and now they're trying to build one here in the millions of dollars. So, but the witnesses, Dick, what it is, and you were a witness, I was a witness. The people listening in, for the most part, have all been Jehovah's Witnesses. The term is cognitive dissonance. We don't think there's anything wrong with the Watchtower. So if they sold a branch office, so be it. And they bought another building or setting up a media center, that's Jehovah's blessing. That's Jehovah's blessing. Thank you, Dick. We had another fella as well.
Can I share?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I share a quick experience? You were talking about the headquarters where the governing body was at, where they had that big globe. When I was at Bethel, we flew down to Bethel, and I met Dan Sidlick when he was still alive, and we were in his office. And I was just joking. I wanted to just joke with him, and I said, Brother Sidlick, what would it take for you to come down to Colorado and give a talk at our congregation? Now, we've had that done before. And we had Ted Jarris. We had a Bethelite that invited him down. Now, I don't know what he did with Ted Jarris, but I'm not making this up. This is what Dan Sidlick said, and this was his voice. He said, just a plane ticket and $1,000 in my pocket. I'm not making that up. And he was serious. He would have came down to give a talk if I would have gave him $1,000 in a plane ticket.
And he meant it.
Yeah, that's the way it worked.
Well, I'll tell you something. I met Dan Sidlick, and he's not with us now, so I don't want to beat him up too badly. But I mean, he was a real Watchtower person. But he was kind of creepy looking, to be honest with you. He wasn't. Now, I don't want to beat the guy up too much, like I say, but he didn't really look totally honest to me. He didn't. And what do you think?
Let me just share one last thing with you, because if the Watchtower is the truth, he's looking down at us, talking about him. So I understand what you're saying, but I will tell you, Barbara Anderson shared a story with me, and I'll just share this real quick. I'll be real brief, because I had asked her what had happened when we were going upstairs. He had grabbed a sister by the waist and pulls her to him, and he kissed her on the cheek. And I said, Barbara, if I did that in the congregation, I would be removed as an elder. If I grabbed an elder's wife and kissed her on the cheek and grabbed her by the hips. And she said, oh, Joe, that happens all the time. And so she had told a story, and I'm just going to share this quick story. They went out to eat. This was when Barbara was still there at Bethel, and she could back this up if you ever talked to her. They went out to eat with Dan Sidlick, and her husband had asked Brother Sidlick, how actually are men appointed? How is it? How are you spoken to when you appoint men to the governing body? And Dan Sidlick went into this trance, and his wife, now they're at a dinner table, his wife had to hit him on the side and say, Dan, get the F out of heaven and get back to earth. I'm not making that up. You could ask Barbara Anderson about it. But Dan, I've met him several times. I liked him actually as a governing body member. I know he's passed away, but I just thought I'd share that experience with you.
Well, thank you, Joe. I'll tell you something. I don't know if you guys ever heard of David Icke. He has a website out of England. And of course, he's extreme in his ways of thinking, but he claims that there are people on this planet that are reptilian. They are demonic people. They are sons of Satan through some type of a sex act that the demons have had with people. And these are hybrids. And he says you can tell these people a mile away because of their eyes. They have like little snake eyes. Now, I'm not going to say that Dan was reptilian, but he's the first person ever that I ever met and still remember to this day. He looked like a little reptile. Now, I'm not beating up on him. I'm trying not to, but and I'm not even totally in agreement with all this reptilian stuff either. But I know there are people that do get into this. But he looked like a little reptile. And then now that I think of it, when we look at it, and Joe, you were Bethelite. People who have been there and got to know some of these people, they're not normal. They are not normal people. There's something wrong. Now, whether it's power going to their head, I know they're operating under the influence of Satan, the devil. I do understand that. But we'll just have to, see how the events unfold here. We're going to see how many people are going to stay in the Watchtower now that their governing body is being exposed. They never saw the governing body before. They never did. If you asked a witness 20 years ago who are the governing body members, you might be able to name a couple, but today they can't name them. Today they don't know them, really. I mean, I'm sorry, today they do know them. Years ago they didn't. They know them now because they're coming on jw.org, and they're not making a good appearance. Any further thoughts before we move on? What do you guys think? Are the governing body, are they sneaky looking? What do you think? You can do what you want, but I mean, you've seen the streaming. They got to get some younger blood in there, and they're planning on it.
One last point.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I'm sorry, Rick.
Go ahead.
I will tell you, the scariest governing body members. I worked in the chairman's office a lot, but the scariest governing body members that had the evil eyes, and I'm not making this up, was Ted Jarris and Albert Schroeder. And let me tell you, I don't know what it was in their eyes, but these men were not kind men. I actually tried to spark up a conversation with Ted Jarris, and he didn't even want to talk to me. So I don't know. You would think that they would be very personable men. Now, again, Dan Sidlick was a very nice man, but some of the governing body members that I had met were very unapproachable.
Oh, I'm with you. Ted Jarrett is a good one you named there. No, it's a very evil. The way that I look at it, Joe, and I don't even mind speaking abusively about it because I don't have a soft spot from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet for the Jehovah's Witness organization. They have hurt so many people. They have created marriage destruction. They have got children that have been displaced. They create problems to the point where people commit suicide. Thousands of people have died refusing blood. I can't find too much good to say about them, Joe. I really can't. So, they don't have much good to say about me either. They really don't. They were so willing to get rid of me, which they did. And then I suppose justifiably, I was standing aside from their teachings. That's the real definition of apostasy. I didn't go along with their teachings anymore. So I understand that they won't want me in, and I don't want to go back in. I'm glad Satan kicked me out of his organization. There's no way I'd ever go back there again.
Well, let me just say one more thing, and I'll call it quits. He's one of the given ones now, one of the governing body helpers. I'm not going to mention his name. He was actually our circuit overseer. Now he's at Bethel, and he's one of the given ones. And he actually forced me. I was the chairman of a judicial committee. He forced me to make a decision before we met with the person. And I said, the person, we have not even met with them. And he said, you better make a decision, and it better be at least public reproof. And I'm thinking, how can you force a committee to make a decision when we haven't even gone before that person and decided whether they're repentant or not? Now, we're talking about the Watchtower ways. I don't believe in the Watchtower ways anymore. But I have no respect for these men. And this circuit overseer is now one of the given ones. He's always on the broadcast. And it really bothers me that that's what they do. They wreck lives. This person that we reproved, we already made the decision before we met with her. She struggled with severe depression. I don't even know if she's in the Watchtower anymore. Maybe she's out. Maybe she's free. But that's what these men do. They destroy lives. And that's just one example. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Joe. Boy,
Hey,
you have so much to share, Joe. Yes, go ahead, Debbie.
Rick?
Yes, Debbie. Is it Debbie? Rick? Go ahead, Debbie.
No, my name is Sheila.
Oh, Sheila, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm not trying to intrude. However, I've been following you guys for probably the last 5 years. My family, majorly is still entrenched into the JW stuff. Fortunately enough, I escaped at the age of 13 after some sexual abuse. Anyway, I'm now 58 years old. An established person. in my community and also a very successful person. And my question for you is, I have followed your, and my God, what you have done is amazing. I just have to say that. However, my father is still there. And I love my dad. I'm the baby of 6 children. Based on so much. So he is almost 90 years old. Is there anything that you guys have put together that can possibly help? And I said that I'm part of 6 children, all 6 of us left. We endured incredible abuse, unbelievable abuse, based on the fact that my dad thought that it was okay because that's what Jehovah said to do. Well, anyway, I do a lot of research. I've been through counseling. They're about to take advantage of my father, and he's not going to be around much longer. And they're having them sign over things like their homes and all that kind of stuff. Is there any kind of program that you guys have put together that will help the people that have come out to help their parents or their children or their siblings that are still in?
Sister, if you have durable power of attorney, financial, or one of your siblings does for your parents, if you have the medical power for them and the financial power that a lawyer can draw up for,
I appreciate your input, but we're all shunned. So,
well,
hey Pixie, let me
Pixie,
Pixie, let me answer the calls, okay? She's asking me.
They are now starting to take advantage of the elderly, and this is going to be a trend going forward because that's the only thing left. And what I'm asking, I'm not asking anyone else but Rick Farron, because I've watched you and you are a hero. No question.
Well, thank you, Sheila. Well,
what about, we talk about the big guys and the little guys and the all in between. What about the people that are being hurt, including my father? He is deceived extremely. And I love my dad. All of my siblings love my dad. And it's not about us. It's about him. And he worked so hard for the home that he had. And they're about to take it away from him because he signed over. I just know that has happened. Is there anything that Rick Farron and his foundation has done to help these people once they pass, that we can go against them legally? Because obviously they're criminals. We know that. Obviously they're part of Freemason. We know that. Obviously this, that, and the other. But now, what about the children who wants to save their parents? Rick, is there anything that you have done or have set up, or anybody that we can contact to help protect our parents or the siblings that are coming up? Like, I have a sibling that she's like 60 something years old and she took a shot and she's about to fucking die. Excuse my French. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Is there anything?
Well, the first thing I would do, and then we'll open the lines up and see if some other people have suggestions too, Sheila. But the first thing that I would do is, your father, is he able, is he doing well mentally? I mean, what is his cognitive skills? I mean, is he aware of things totally?
The last time I saw him, he actually was able to say, "Yes, you're my daughter, and I can't talk to you." So, yeah.
So all of your siblings, you're all out. Now, the only thing that I would do, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give you any real legal advice because I don't know. But the thing that I would do, just me, it's just my ways of thinking, is if I was in that situation and here is my father ready to perhaps die and sign everything he's ever worked so hard for over to the Watchtower, there's provisions, I'm sure, in the law that could at least prevent all of it going to the Watchtower's direction. I would consult an elderly attorney, seriously, because this happens not only in Jehovah's Witnesses, but in other religious groups and scams too. But you're really,
Exactly.
yeah, so you are a child of his. And even though his religious preference is different, it still doesn't negate the fact that you're an heir. And even though he's not,
Well, and I understand that, but is there a way, or is there, because as well as I do, I mean, I have been shunned since I was 14 years old, and I have actually been able to see my dad maybe 5 times, and every time he looks at me, I'm like dead. I mean, I don't blame him. He's brainwashed. But your organization is so big. Is there a group of people, or is there a group of individuals that are going through the same thing that we can all join together and come up with a class action? That's all I'm asking.
well, I got you. I got you, Sheila. Now, there's a lot of people have come on here and shared similar experience. As a matter of fact, even a few years ago, where the land is in Wallkill at the Watchtower Farms, a woman came on one night and her parents gave the whole 150 acres, I believe it was, to the Watchtower.
You got to be kidding me.
No, and she was so ticked off, and she's living kind of a.
No, it's not off.
It's just not right.
It's heartbreaking.
It's not right. You're
No, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't know the law, Sheila, but I know even when it comes to wills, when it comes to even children inheriting things from their parents, there are provisions that could stop such an unruly decision. That's not even thinking straight, to give all the money and all of your, yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is because you have such an audience. I mean, Jimmy Bell is like one of my great friends. You have such an audience. Can we not put out maybe a survey of, something that can say, hey, I mean, this is abuse. It's abuse of the elderly. It's abuse of all different kinds of levels,
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that you have such an audience. Is there a possibility that you would possibly consider just putting it out there, going, is anyone going through this? Would anyone like to join this?
Well, let's do it. Let's ask right now. Let's ask right now. We get a lot of people listening in on our 4 networks.
I would love that.
So why don't we ask right now? Friends, we have Sheila on the line here with us. She's calling in live tonight on Saturday night. And Sheila left the Jehovah's Witness being shunned by her father. You probably heard the story. But her father is 90 years old, and it looks like he's going to leave all of his possessions to the Watchtower and none of the children. Is there anybody out there that has an experience like this, or has fought the Watchtower over this, or has some advice for Sheila? Go ahead, you're on with us. Say hello to Sheila. Don't be bashful. Just give it a second now, Sheila. We got people that contemplating and thinking.
And I want to say it's not about me getting the money. It's about them not getting the money.
Well, in my mind of, I know what you're saying, and that they're taking, the first thing you're saying is they're taking advantage of my father, but there's no reason. You should also be able to get some of that inheritance when your dad does die. Go ahead, run with us. What do you have to say? Okay.
Can I speak to Sheila for a moment?
Go ahead, Randy. Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Miss Sheila, I haven't had those circumstances, but I have had litigation against Watchtower, and I've had many attorneys working for me. And I can share this with you. This country, when it comes real hard to go after them about anything, because they're falling under the umbrella of religion and freedom of religion.
501c3. 501c3.
Yeah, that would be one thing to go after them on that. But as far as what their beliefs are, saying, hey, well, your father can't give this donation. Well, he can, if he stood up and said, hey, this is my religious belief. Now the only thing that comes to mind that a person could do, and it may not be worth your money to do it, but if all of you siblings got together and got a court order that that he's basically not quite right in his mind in doing this, and that he's shunning all of y'all, and he's going to give the money over, possibly that that you might be able to get it halted that way. That's just my opinion on it, because you never know. Whenever they get in there, they'll ask them questions.
What you're saying, but what I'm saying,
they might ask them, who's your president? Who is your president? Well, my mother-in-law, she says, well, mine's Jesus Christ. Cause this is way back years ago. So guess what? They got her committed for saying that because she didn't want to get political. So you never know which way, a good attorney could maybe get it so that you get a trust fund set up and you get somebody appointed to look out after him and make sure he gets the money and that they don't get the money. But it's a tough battle going against it because it's a religion. The only way I would see, in my opinion, would be if you could get it because he's just not got the capacity to do that.
No, and I appreciate that, but this is what I'm looking for is a larger scale, because my family cannot be the only family going through this. It's a larger scale, and Rick Barron has a huge audience, and it's time that we stand up and speak out and stop it. Because
I agree with you completely, but even if you took every ex-Jehovah's Witness, whether they're an activist or whether they never even activists or not, and you added them all up, how it all comes on the scales to the United States and the court system, we're nobody. We don't amount to anything because we're not that many people.
I'm sorry. We are absolutely somebody. We're
somebody, but we're not that big.
Somebody,
you use the number we're huge, we're big, and all that. We're dust on the scale.
No, we're not. Not when it comes to families. And what I'm asking is there a possibility with Rick Barron and like I said, Rick, I'm not trying to intrude your program. I apologize. What I'm trying to say is that my family cannot be the only family going through this, that we're having to sit back and watch them rob our elderly parents. It's no different than Cuomo doing what he did with COVID-19 and putting elderly people, at risk. What I'm asking is there anybody out there that is willing to join together, whether it's in the UK or Africa or Russia or whatever, they're stealing, and it's time for it to stop. And if we all join together, I mean, there's already attorneys out there that have taken up class action suits for sexual abuse. What about the elderly? Can we get a group together? And, you know, it may be too late for my dad. I'm not sure. But I watched my father work his ass off. He also built how many Kingdom Halls? He also built how many convention centers? My dad was an amazing and is an amazing carpenter. He is a beautiful person. And I set aside any kind of angst or hate or anything for the organization. I'm just saying, now these people, all right, my stepmother was dying. She was so faithful, and not one of them showed up. Not one of them.
Well, it's really a shame, Sheila. It's really, you know, there's such an evil cult when you look into the behavior. It's so aberrant and strange. But is there anybody out there, if you're listening into our audience tonight, or you're listening on YouTube, and I'm getting messages, written messages here. What state do you live in, Sheila?
I live in Texas.
In Texas.
And I'll give my information to you privately, Rick. Yeah. If anyone's ready to join, to go after these people, because they are robbing the elderly, and it's elderly abuse. And it's going to happen to your mom. It's going to happen to your dad. I don't care what they did to you. But they were deceived. And deception is horrible. It's horrible.
Well, it is.
But they did what they did.
It's very horrible.
On what they thought was right.
Yeah. Well, what to do, Sheila? Here's what you want to do. Write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. jwworldnews@gmail.com. And let me know how people can get in touch with you, because we'll get some people. A lot of people are still afraid to call in. But is there anybody out there right now listening in this audience? Is there anybody out there that has had been in a position like Sheila? Parents, Jehovah's.
Yeah, Sheila is talking about after father passes. I mean, the lawyers out here, because I've been through that with my mother. I mean, if there are 6 siblings or 1 sibling, lawyers don't care if you were Jehovah's Witness or not. If there is no will written, it goes directly to next of kin. And when a mother or father, obviously mother or father, your father, mother, father of kids, goes to the children. Now, it could be 5 children, 1 children, 13 children. But that's the way it goes when a mother or father passes and there is no will. Is that her argument? Like, what happens after he moves on to the afterlife? Because now nothing can be done. If he's still alive, nothing can be done until he obviously moves on. So be there 1 sibling or 20 siblings and there is no will, then it has to be divided between 1 sibling, 3 siblings, 20 siblings, whatever. That's the way it goes. The law does not care about I was Jehovah's Witness. The law does not go by religion. It goes by next of kin. If that is her complaint, if I'm following her correctly.
She said they already had him
signed over. I'm sorry for interrupting, but he signed over all of his property to the Watchtower.
Oh well, if he signed over, if he has a will or something in print, then there's nothing you can do. Because I have a friend of mine who was never a Jehovah's Witness, and there are 5 siblings in his family, and he is the one. His mother had beachfront property in Jamaica, the island of Jamaica. You would think that would be snapped up real quick. There are 5 siblings in his family. The one that his mother left in charge is his sister. she's a doctor. Not all doctors are millionaires, so I don't know what her income is like. But he was the one that flew down there and took maintenance of the house and everything. But that does not count because before their mother passed, 5 siblings, their mother passed, his sister was the one on her will. So, it just depends. If there was something in writing, then that overrides things now. I mean, if there are 5 siblings and your brother said, if your brother, your brother's name, like your father said, I want so-and-so to be in charge, and this one's second in command, third, what is in writing takes precedence. So there is no way that can be overruled.
I appreciate your input. However, my understanding, Rick, and through Jimmy Bell, there was a call out from the Jehovah's Watchtower organization that said you have to worship Jehovah and give over your stuff. If we can all collectively come together and prove that this cult has convinced these deceived people to give over this stuff. It's a cult. They thank for their stuff. Yeah, that was very interesting. Before my mother, she didn't pass away suddenly. Something very interesting happened before my mother got sick. It's so funny. I was over to her house where she actually needed the ambulance to take her to the hospital, which included her final days. But what was so funny is while we were waiting for the ambulance, I think she called that day. I guess she thought she wasn't feeling well. Which is funny. I'm not lying about this, but it sounds funny. I got a call on the phone. I'm thinking it's police at 911 from some kind of lawyer saying, "Oh, well, Miss Taylor, she said she wanted to get together her will." So that's really funny. So she thought it was her last moments, but she had nothing in writing.
Okay.
So if there was something in writing right now, if your father is alive, and there was something in writing right now, that rules. I mean, like all over the United States, that rules.
Well, not necessarily, Shirley. I mean, if her father is not able to make a decision on his own.
He's not competent, what they call mentally competent or something like that. Yeah.
But that's not the question.
Hello?
The question is that do we have a document from the Jehovah's Witness, Watchtower, and all of their other entities begging their faithful followers to give over their stuff?
Right, yeah, give over,
hold
I
on,
understand, they say, I want to give over all my worldly possessions to the Watchtower, and then they die. If that is in writing before they pass, you can go back to the court and say, contest, I think the word is contest is something that, my mother, although you have to have 2 witnesses to sign a will, some siblings will go back and say, she wasn't of sound mind, this was a cult, this, that, and the other. But if she wrote that and she has 2 witnesses to sign her will, then you have a case, no matter what religion, Baptist, Jewish, whatever.
Well, surely we don't listen. We don't have all. I mean, the sister's trying to get an answer here. That's all she's trying to do.
That's what I was giving her, Rick, because attorneys don't care about religion.
Right, but the point they're making, if the man was incompetent, well, then
she has a case. If he was incompetent, she has a case.
Right.
If he was not, then it's set in stone. If he was incompetent,
okay. Let's put a lid on that one. We have another person who wants to come in.
Now, we're going back to the Jehovah's Witnesses. Rick, what
we got to call Sheila. We got one more. We got one more lady here wants to speak with you. Go ahead, lady, sister. I know who it is. I think you're coming in from New York. Go ahead.
I love you guys.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay, I'd like to weigh in as well.
Are you still there with us, Sheila?
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, it's Annie from Montreal.
All right, we got 3 or 4 people. So let's get right to the point with it. Try to give the sister some encouragement. That's what she's calling up here for. She's calling up for encouragement.
Okay.
That's what she wants. Go ahead, Annie.
Okay, hi. Yes, hi. Listen, I was just wondering,
you know, the Zalkin law firm in California, I believe they are. I wonder if they know anything about it, if this has ever been brought to their attention, because they would probably.
I mean,
it's just a thought. Sorry.
No, I don't know how to go about it. The Dawkins, they're amazing.
Exactly, because they're already handling a lot of Watchtower issues, especially the sexual abuse cases. But because a lawyer has to, well, they know more about it than I or anybody else does. But because it would be interesting to see what the document that Watchtower has these people sign. You know, I mean, that would be the interest. They would have to see that and see if there's anything fishy about it. I'm just saying, you know.
Exactly, and there was a document that they put out to these elderly people that said you have to worship Jehovah, so you have to give over your stuff. It's not about me. This is not about me. This is about hundreds of thousands of parents.
Well, it's another form of what do you call it? Brainwashing, you know.
Exactly.
And they have a legal team, and they're very sneaky about everything. So I would really get in touch with Zalkin.
And what I'm saying is that, you know, right now the big dig is in sexual abuse. That's a thing of the past. This is now we've got all of our parents.
All right.
We've escaped.
Well, Sheila, you're right. Sheila, hold on 1 second, sir. I just want to get a word in edgewise here. So I just Sheila, here's what I want to say, is that there's a lot of people, and the legal advice is the best thing. But you're asking here if there's any document that's been put out by the Watchtower. We got a bunch of banging around the background there. But if there's a document given out in a publication or whatever concerning older people turning property, there is none. There is none. Now, they do have what they call a giving desk.
I saw one.
You saw one? Well, there's a giving desk. Yes. There's a desk that allows you, they usually bring it up around Christmas time, the end of the year. And you can give your jewelry, you can give insurance, you can give property. But I've never seen a document saying, please give your house over to the Watchtower, your property. I don't think there's one. I've never seen it.
Well, we need to dig.
I'd certainly like to.
Okay, we got a man that wants to talk to you. Go ahead, sir. Say hello to Sheila.
Hey, how you doing, Sheila? I actually went around this block once with my aunt, and she willed her $90,000 fortune to the society, and we beat him off based on undue influence and mental incapacity. And the problem with having the problem with doing a group effort on this kind of thing is each case is taken individually, unfortunately, in a court of law. But any attorney that specializes in wills and probate would be able to take on that case with no problem whatsoever and throw the society off the will. A good example of what happened with that was that of Nicole Smith. Her husband willed her the property to a bunch of non-profits and this and that, and she took it all to court and went all the way to the Supreme Court. And her position as the wife entitled her to the property. It didn't go to the nonprofits and stuff. It was undue influence.
No, so, I agree. I agree with your concerns.
Yeah.
However, what I'm trying to and
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Well, right. Sheila, I wish you all the best. Anyway, I just want to put
Rick,
in my.
I'm just saying, Rick has an audience, and I cannot be the only person.
You're not.
And it's time that we stand up. And Zalkin, I freaking love the guy. I've been following the XJW community for over, I can't tell you, countless numbers of years because of the horrible things that has happened to my family. Even afterwards. But what I'm saying is that they have a new prey. And the only thing that I'm proposing is that can we set aside our angst and our hatred and all of that, revenge or whatever the hell that is, and just protect what it's not about us. It's about love. And they're about to take away. I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, Sheila, let me ask you this, Sheila, just right to the point. Have you contacted a lawyer yet at all on this?
No, that's why I'm talking to you first.
All right. Well, no. Well, I appreciate that.
I've been down the street, Sheila. I've had to deal with this issue, and you need an elder lawyer in your state.
Yes.
And the reason the class action suit, I'm with you. I'd love to see it. And perhaps what David is going to be reporting, maybe he has made some headway with a lobbying effort. The reason Zalkin was able to do the child issue is because of the precedent of the Boy Scouts in a previous case. With elder law, it's state by state. So contact an attorney that specializes in elder law.
Does anybody?
I've been down the road. It was 102, and I kept the house.
I'm in Texas.
Hello?
In Texas is Hartley Hampton. Hartley Hampton. He's out of Houston. He won big against Jehovah's Witnesses. But granted, it was a sexual abuse case, but he got a big settlement.
It doesn't matter. Hartley Hampton?
Hartley Hampton. And another guy is Scott Rothensberg. Now, I use him. He's one of the top. He's probably the very top attorney in all of Texas. But I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
he's a Jewish guy from New York that moved there to Houston. He said, "You don't want them Jehovah's Witnesses don't want a Jewish lawyer coming after him." That's what he told me. But his name's Scott Rothensberg. But those are two names.
I'm sorry, I'm not taking notes right now. Can I
Scott
give
Rothensberg.
my email address?
ROTHENSBURG, I think, is his last name. But the other guy is Hartley Hampton. And before Zalkins come along, before they came along, this guy, he had a half a dozen cases, and they all ended up settling pretty big time. Watchtower settled and gave them gave the victims some compensation.
I'm licensed in California. I'm not in Texas, but my aunt was in Missouri, and I was able to get her $90,000 back to the family that she had willed to the society.
Are you a lawyer,
so I know
sir?
a little bit about it.
Yeah. Are you a
What's
lawyer?
that?
Are you a lawyer, sir? Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Oh, well, thank you for calling in. So, I mean, from a legal standpoint here, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and the people calling in aren't. Does she have a shot here at changing the will or whatever documents Watchtower has on the property?
She can challenge the will. No problem whatsoever. That's undue influence. There's plenty of case law about cults that influenced somebody that was old. So, I mean, like I was saying, Anna Cole Smith is a good sample of that. She got the money, several $1 million. Went to her son. She died during litigation, but that money was not willed to her.
So do you have to wait until she dies?
No. Is this a living will?
I'm not
is the
sure.
person still alive, and is the living will? Is that
Yeah,
what?
he's alive, and I mean,
You can still challenge it. You certainly
what is
can.
your name, sir? Can I call you?
Sure. Chuck McCabe, Charles McCabe.
Charles?
Yeah.
McCaid?
No, McCabe.
Well, I was close. What?
Charles, if you don't want to give your number over the phone, I can take your number. You could write it to me, and then I can give it to her if you like. If you don't feel comfortable with your number over the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah, right.
Well, what the
That'd be
only
great.
thing that I'm trying to do is that we have got to, as the XJW, which I am not an XJW. I am a human being. I am a woman that has a wonderful life, and I've been through hell, and I'm above it. And we've got to figure out how to protect our parents and our siblings and our cousins and all of the shit that this crap is bringing down. And I'm sorry, Rick, for taking over your show. I'm not trying to.
Well, what we did, I mean, what we do, I mean, I think
I
know you're not, but what we have here is we do have a lawyer. You know, we all have suggestions and thoughts, but, you know, a lawyer is the place to start now. Mr. McCabe, Charles McCabe, he's going to send me his telephone number. You can write me, Charles, at jwworldnews@gmail.com. jwworldnews@gmail.com. Send me a telephone number. And then also, Sheila, you're going to send me yours, and I'll give you his number. You can talk to him. I just don't want to, there's a lot of people on the line here tonight, and I don't want
No, I get it.
Yeah.
And how are you going to get that information back to me?
I'm going to email you back. So you email me, and I'll email you his number, okay? And then anybody else, too, that's not listed on the phone
How do
line.
I email you? What's your email address?
It's jwworldnews@gmail.com. And, you know, also all the people listening in tonight, I'm going to get from YouTube, and I'm going to get a bunch of people writing in. So I'll give you any information they bring. But Sheila, that's good. We had one other woman, and then we're going to cut off to another story. But we had one other woman that's been really trying to break in here to talk to you. I believe she's
Absolutely.
I believe she's from New York. Did you still want to come on, sister? If you're out there, just hit *6 and come on. I guess not, but no, we had a bunch of people. So
Rick?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Go ahead. No,
Rick, I'm from California. Yeah, thank you, Rick. I'll just be brief. I was texting our brother Chuck, trying to get a hold of him because I know he's an attorney, and so I just wanted to say, Chuck, thanks so much, honey, for coming on. He was busy, and I was trying. Yeah, thank you, honey. I really appreciate it because this gal really needs your help. The other thing, just two other thoughts, Rick. I'll be brief. You know, sound of mind is really critical. I've gone through this with loved ones, and they have to be of sound of mind. There cannot be any kind of coercion or pressure. So, you know, thank you, Chuck, for jumping on, honey. I really appreciate that. And the other thing, Rick, I just need to say this is, you know, my client, she's a PMO, and we were talking the other day. Well, we were talking several days this week, and she told me that at the meeting just, let's see, what was it? Tuesday night of this week. She said that Watchtower, you know, it's the same old stuff, you know. But she said that they had someone's home that they had donated to Watchtower, and it was during their Tuesday night meeting. And I said, "Are you kidding me?" And she said, "No, I'm not." And I said, "Well, where was the home?" And she said, "It was somewhere in California." And I said, "Yeah, of course, because our real estate here is, you know, through the roof." So the point I'm just trying to make is Watchtower is now literally having it as part of their meeting about donating your home or any of your property. And of course, Watchtower is all about the money. Follow the money. And there's nothing like the real estate here in California that's worth a fortune. So that's what they're doing with, the congregations. So thank you, Rick. Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah, no, that's the first I heard.
Hi, this is Apostle Babe.
Go ahead, Linda.
I just wanted to say something.
Hold on. We got a few people coming on. We got a man before you, Apostle Babe. Go ahead, sir. Then Apostle Babe next. Go ahead.
This is just Zachary.
Zachary.
Rick, I just wanted to comment on that. She said that they have a document or something. That is correct. They used to at least have one. It was not widely distributed. I think it was the title had the words planned giving, and it was kept in the files for anyone who would be interested in seeing it. It was a glossy document, a glossy brochure size booklet.
Wow. I never heard of that, Zach, but I know you're telling the truth here. So maybe that's what they gave her father. Maybe they gave that to her father. So they made it look good, like a glossy bank folder, right? Yeah.
It looks very good, yeah.
All right.
But Rick, all witnesses are admonished, at least when my parents were alive, to donate their possessions to the Watchtower.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are of the same age. You know that too, right? Didn't you hear that, Rick?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
I got you. But I like that idea Zachary just said. It's not even an idea. If there's a document and her father got that, I'd bring that up.
Yeah.
All right. We got somebody else. Go ahead, Apostle.
I'm very familiar. So, yes, that document does exist, and it's something that's brought up to members. And my goodness, after all of their children are, spiritually dead, of course they'd give it to the Watchtower because it's going to serve Jehovah's kingdom. It makes perfect sense. So getting in touch with a lawyer is the only way we can take care of this, because I've heard this has been going on for a long time. I've heard of people, family members that still live in the home, and they are just told to leave right then and there after the person dies or whatever. But we have to have a lawyer to tell us how to do it, because it's just not our forte. So, and what I wanted to tell the gal that called in, if you're wanting to know how many people this has happened to, maybe you can start a post, in Facebook on some of the rooms and just kind of ask, has this ever happened to you? And see who answers, because many people will. You'll find that many people, this has happened to many people.
Well, but
we have to have a lawyer.
Rick Barron has such a large audience. I mean, and Jimmy Bell, and we're a lot of smart people. Can we come up with that document before they die?
And the thing that you spoke about, the one you spoke about, sounds very new. Like, that's the way we worship, by giving over our things. Like, it sounds almost
exactly.
And see, what he's talking about is undue influence, and which is what Stephen Hassan talks about.
That's right.
When we're taken in and feel compelled out of obligation. And this has happened to my great-great-grandmother. She was rich. And some nice gentleman said, "Don't worry your pretty little head. I'll take care of this." And he took it all. So she trusted him for this. And she was not even a witness. I'm just saying this is a thing that happens. But Stephen Hassan used it, meaning, so when he used it, he said it was something of a law. They had to do with exactly this kind of case. So this is the true intention of that term that this lawyer is talking, undue influence. So you're being influenced, in a way that's like, don't you want, like, it's a great idea. We just need a lawyer on our side who's willing to direct and suggest, to have our backs. And I agree, it's not really about us. I agree. But then again, say a parent of ours is going to have some long-term care. Maybe that money can go towards some long-term care for our parents, because once they are of no use, and they are usually neglected or told to go talk to your family, the ones that they fellowship, right? So here we are wanting to, help them out. And yeah, you know what I'm saying. I think this is not new. It's a very common thing. And the way that this lawyer talks is that he's got experience. So we need to.
No, I think we should, because it is beyond despicable. And
I just looked him up on Google, so he is like a legit dude. And then plus,
the foundation of our Constitution is we need the document that says
yes.
Jehovah.
Well, let's put a word out for the document. Let me put a word out for the document right now, Sheila. If anybody has that document that Zachary was talking about, that polished little folder, little brochure, whatever it is, if anyone has that in PDF or even has the document itself, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. I would really appreciate that. jwworldnews@gmail.com. Well, I think, Sheila, right, I think really we covered all.
JW Suicides has made a video about it. So if you want to go to her channel, you will see it.
Sorry,
okay.
I had a sister that committed suicide. I'm just saying.
All right. Well, what we'll do, Sheila,
My
I think
goodness.
we got a lot of people that have listened to your story here tonight, and we're sad to hear that. It's very frustrating, But maybe with the right help and Charles McCabe, the attorney that called in, and you get a hold of him, and maybe he can lead you some other people. I would say that's a good starting point. But thank you, Sheila. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. But I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm not frustrated. I have faith.
All right. Well,
and I believe in love.
Well, yes.
No, I believe in love. I believe in love. And that is the biggest gift we could ever be given. And it's time that we start using it.
Yeah, but
Love you, Rick.
don't show the Watchtower any love. They can't be shown any love going after you.
No,
you gotta go.
I will show them love.
Yeah.
Because it's a chess game.
Okay.
It's called a chess game.
Well, you got it. Well, Sheila, you're a fine lady. I hope this gets resolved. Now, write to me, and I'm sure I'll get more information. So anything I get, I'll send to you. I'll have your email. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too, Sheila, and thank you for coming on and being with us tonight. Yes, we all love Sheila. She's sharing a story with us. Okay. Well, anyway.
Thank you, Chuck, for chiming in. Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I want to thank Chuck too, Charles, for coming in and giving his.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Charles. Really do. Thank you for coming in here and saying hello to us tonight. It was nice of you to do that, really. And write me a telephone number so I have it, and I'll send it to Sheila. Thank you.
I will.
All right, good man.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, my friends, things are moving in the right direction. Let me tell you, we have got a rockin' awesome night going here. Hey, we're trying to solve some problems. People coming out of the Watchtower, I mean, they're not devoid of problems. There's a lot that the ex-witness is concerned with. So let's go with this. Let's go to another story. Let's bring that up right now. I want to thank everyone, though, that did call in and try to give suggestions to Sheila, and I'm sure she appreciated that. Okay, now what we got here is we have got the preaching work. We know that started, the public preaching work. It started last week, and it started by them rolling the carts out. You're now going to see the Jehovah's Witnesses. Many people are seeing them standing on the side of the street with their little carts and trying to get people to come and talk with them. So they already started that public preaching work of the cart work. They're still not going door to door, but guess what they started today? Or it might have even been a couple of days ago, but I know today people were talking about it. The witnesses are now going business to business. Oh my goodness. Do you remember that? Did you ever go business to business, witnessing to the businesses? I did, but I'll tell you what, it was very, very difficult. But you know, another thing I wanted to bring up here concerning witness work, you know, even when we were able to go house to house and going to the different territories and what have you, you know, you had to put gas in the car, right? Well, Watchtower never allowed you any allowance or anything for that. They just expected you to do it on your own dime. But what about today? Even now, driving to business, who's going to put the gas in the car? You guys can remember you'd have a car group. Did you guys ever meet generous witnesses? Did many offer you money when you let them off at the Kingdom Hall to go home? Did any of these witnesses ever say, well, gee, Brother Farron, gee, Sister Smith, you drove the car today, here's a couple of bucks for you? Well, very seldom did that happen. And now we have gasoline in this country. Well, I'm not going to totally exaggerate, but some places it is up to seven. Well, in Canada, for example, it's $7.88 a gallon. We have people calling in from Canada. So that's I guess that's the average price in Canada. So we're looking at $7.88 a gallon to get in your car and drive around. We'll get some noise here. I'm going to mute a few people here. Just mute them here now, just so we don't get a lot of background noise. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Yeah, I have to do that, folks, because we have a lot of people. The line's still open. The way that you do it, and you heard me say it before, is you'll want to speak up, you hit *6. When you're done speaking, hit *6 again, and that mutes you. Then I don't have to worry about all the noise. But the gallon of gas in Canada, $7.88, that's going to be very difficult for people going out in service, right? Even though it's just business to business, pretty soon they'll be opening up the door-to-door work as well. And what do you think gasoline's going for in the United Kingdom? Well, we have witnesses over there too, Jehovah's Witnesses, and their gas is $11 a gallon. Can you imagine that? $11 a gallon. I just got it on here. Hold on one second. We have our friends on YouTube sending the spam messages once again. So, just try to put up with it to some degree, but we're trying to get rid of it. Drunken Bethelites, that's who's doing it. They've always interfered with our live program. So anyways, what are you guys thinking? Now, when you went out in service, I don't think anybody really liked business work. Did you? Did you like going to each business and they're busy and you're trying to leave brochures and magazines with them? It was rather difficult. I would think that nobody listening to this program tonight liked that. But anyways, if you
Rick, I remember I mentioned on your show quite a while back. I'm in New York, so we have the subway system. I'm in Queens, as you know, Manhattan is the the world center of New York City. I remember back in the late '60s, some sisters, which was my piano teacher and her pioneer partner, they went down to the Wall Street area and just went into office buildings down there and went upstairs and were able to preach to people. And like I said, it was in the late '60s. So today, needless to say, you would never be able to do that. But back in the day, she said she spoke up like in the ministry school or, that meeting, that weekly meeting, whatever. I haven't been in a meeting in years, so whatever it was called. But yeah, my piano teacher and her pioneer partner, they went down to the Wall Street area in New York City, went upstairs in the elevator and just got off whatever floor and started witnessing. And of course, as they mentioned it in the meeting, they got positive results according to what she said. Now, can you imagine that happening now?
Yeah, I don't think
no way that could happen now.
No, I don't think they get positive results today.
Of course not.
No.
You can't even get in. You need secure with the security, and like in New York, I'm sure all over the the country.
Yeah.
You can't go in until you sign in and say, who are you here to see? But this was back in the late '60s. I remember her because she was my piano teacher in the late '60s, and she was a pioneer. And she had another sister. They were pioneers. They went down to the Wall Street area, just said, oh, this is an office building here. Let us get in the elevator and get off such and such a floor. And according to her, when she gave the experience at the meeting, it was all positive.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I went out door to door, business to business too. And I'll tell you what, I had some positive results. I really did. I didn't like it. In fact, I found it more difficult to go business to business than door to door. The business people are busy. And generally it was on a Saturday that we would go. And sometimes for many businesses, that's their busiest day. And, they didn't have time to talk to you. They'd kind of fluff you off a little bit. But that's what the witnesses are starting up. Now, you just imagine, you've been 2 years not out in the preaching work. You've been locked in on your Zoom meetings. And now all of a sudden you're going to be going out business to business. That's going to hit the witnesses smack right in the face. They're not going to like it. I mean, people don't like going out in service anyways. It's not going to go over big. Really, after 2 years of not going out, you'd get a little rusty, right? You'd say, gee, I kind of like the idea of not having to get up in the morning and run out, talking to people all over the place and trying to recruit them into a cult. But that's what's going on today. So I think a lot of businesses, I think a lot of people, I should say, a lot of witnesses, they're going to start up this business to business, and they're going to go, that's it. They're going to come home today from service, which I'm sure they've already have, and they're going to say, that's it. I don't want to do this anymore. You're going to see so many people are going to be fleeing the Watchtower. They already are. There's a mass exodus that's already begun. So I just want to bring that up to you. So the business to business, we got the cart work resumed. And not everybody now, in order to run one of those carts or to be able to stand next to it, you have to be in good standing. You just can't be Sister Smo. You've got to Sister and Brother Smo. They're going to have a hard time getting qualified. You got to be qualified. And then even if you do, from what I understand, and I'm not sure, but they're letting, people kind of go along with the elite ones standing next to the cart. You stand next to us. But, you're supposed to be trained. And what type of training do you need to stand next to a JW cart and get people onto jw.org? I don't see where there's much training there, but they want you trained before you do that. This is another cult trick, right? That's how they do it. Well, anyways, you're on JW World News. That's the news.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
Yeah, just a quick thought. I had a friend helping me to move last week or 2 weeks ago, and he got a phone call from a Jehovah's Witness. He introduced himself, and he started preaching to my friend, and my friend said, but I got my own religion. I don't want anything to do with you Jehovah's Witnesses. They hung up the phone. But they're starting to just call people at random over the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Well, that's how they're now witnessing, Dick. I mean, they were doing that for 2 years on COVID, when COVID pandemic hit. They were, witnessing, and they get together on Zoom, and they could see each other writing letters, and then they would call people up. But boy, that's a tough way to have to go about it. Thank you, Dick. I wanted to bring up too that what we're getting reports into the 6 screens about the meetings and about account reports. And I got some information this week that came to me, and it's concerning a meeting that was held this week at the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall. And I'm just going to mute some people here. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. We got a bunch of noise going on in the background here. So we got to mute the people. All right. So one of these days I'm going to get through. I think I'm going to have to mute everybody here soon. I know I always say that, but you guys could help me out with that. But anyways, what I'm saying that the Kingdom Hall, there was an announcement made this week. In fact, the brother got up to give the accounts report. And, they do that at the Kingdom Hall. Now, this was a large congregation. I'm not going to tell you where it is, but it's a large congregation. And it got more large in the last couple of years because they closed a bunch of other congregations around the area, and they sold the Kingdom Halls off, and they had the people all meet in this one larger Kingdom Hall. So you have a number of combinations, a number of congregations that have combined their meetings. So it's bigger. I mean, the congregation's big right now. It's like bigger than this person was telling me than it's ever been because of closing the other halls down and all coming there. So anyways, the brother got up at the end of the meeting and he talked about the finances in the Kingdom Hall. And he says, well, brothers and sisters, we have a total donations for the month are $1,800. But he says our expenses are $2,700. So, I mean, that's falling pretty short, right, of the $2,700. And one thing, too, I have to really say is what, in goodness' name's sake, these halls, for the most part, have been all paid off. Why would you need expenses of $2,700? I mean, a Kingdom Hall isn't like a skyscraper. It's a building, but I mean, the juice, the electricity and the air conditioning and what have you really runs its highest only maybe 10 hours a week during the meetings. So what do you need $2,700 for? I'm sure a lot of that money is going to the organization. But anyways, this is where it kind of got spicy when the Kobe, well, he's the congregation coordinator. That's what they call him for short, Kobe. He's a congregation elder who coordinates the body of elders. And so anyways, he was saying he wanted to also give the amount of money that was donated to the worldwide work. And this is where I liked it. How much money in this Kingdom Hall? I guess it's about 150 people. It's that one that got condensed. And how much money do you think went to the worldwide work for the month of May? Everyone was perplexed. It was a whopping $6. In fact, he says, do I have that right? He even had to stop what he was saying and ask the secretary from the stage. And asked the secretary, is that right? Only $6 for the worldwide work? That speaks volumes. That speaks volumes, folks, because, you know, there's so many people, they don't want to give their money to the Watchtower anymore. They really, really don't. And to only get $6, I mean, I never heard it that low. But, you know, friends, this is what's happening. You should look at, we're like the CIA here. That's what we are. What's the CIA do? The CIA, they poke around and they look for little intelligence anywhere it might be. That is intelligentsia right there. $6 speaks volumes. That congregation is not giving much to the worldwide work. That to me means they don't care much about the Watchtower anymore. So this is great news. And I'll tell you what, it's even going to get worse. The Watchtower's donations are going to go right downhill as the economy squeezes the Jehovah's Witnesses. And you all know anyways, the Jehovah's Witnesses are really one of the poorest religions of all. In fact, they're known as the poorest religion, according to a Pew religious poll. Did you know that? Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses are the poorest religion. Now, I don't mean in terms of the Watchtower. Those guys are living great in the ivory tower. But I'm talking about the average witness. They're poorer than any other religion. Any other person, any other religion, the Jehovah's Witnesses are the poorest. And then the reason is because most of them are uneducated because of Watchtower policy. Many of them are very elderly right now, just living on their Social Security. And they're being squeezed. Now, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you, right now, we're looking out and we're seeing high prices on everything, right? We're seeing the high prices on gasoline. We're seeing the high prices on food. The 4th of July, even though the Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate it, they still get time off and they start their vacations. I'm going to tell you, right now, a lot of people aren't noticing the inflation too much. I mean, they're going to the gas station and, rather than fill their tank, put $20 in, put $25 in. They're not filling it. Now, on the 4th of July, when all these vacations start, and the witness vacations too start, even though they don't celebrate the 4th of July, but they're going to go on vacation. That's when a lot of witnesses get off from work. So they're going to drive to the gas station and they're going to have their car is going to cost about $125 to fill up. Oh, that's when they're going to see it. They're not seeing it now because they're just putting a few bucks in. But when they have to spend $125, $150 to fill a gas tank, all of a sudden something's going to hit them. And then when they go to the store, right now in the summer, the 4th of July, even the witnesses, even though they don't celebrate it, they have little get-togethers around that holiday because it's a holiday. And they're going to go to the store and they're going to fill their carts up. Oh, we have sister. We're going to have a get-together at the house. We're going to have a barbecue. And, for the most part, we go to the store now, pick a few things up, and that's it. But when you fill that cart up, you got a witness gathering and you fill your cart up and it's going to cost you $300. You're going to start thinking, man, I don't have much money to give to the Watchtower. I'm sorry, but I don't. So I know the Watchtower is going to really be squeezed big time this year because inflation is going to really do a job on them. I want to bring that up. And I'm sure they're aware of it. And that's why even the sister that was just on earlier, Sheila, that's why they're squeezing people. They might not be totally advertising it to, leave your property to us. but they squeezed her father somehow, some way into leaving his property to the Watchtower. That's how they're trying to make their money. It's disgusting. It's a massive money grab. And that's what the Watchtower is doing.
Criminal.
It is criminal. It is criminal. And, all of the Kingdom Halls right now, I can report to everybody listening in here tonight that all of the Kingdom Halls, from what I gather, they're all owned worldwide, as I speak, by the Watchtower organization. Now, just roll the clocks back a few years ago. That was not the case. But the Watchtower coerced. They got into these Kingdom Halls, and they were to reorganize everything. That's what they told the witnesses. We're going to make it better for you. We're going to make it easier for you elders to keep accounts and be able to keep track of your money. We're going to help you here. Oh yeah, big time help. So all of the Kingdom Halls were signed over to the Watchtower organization, and those that had a mortgage, boy, they felt there was a talk. There was a talk given, and the talk was that we're changing our monetary system, the way we do things. And if you have a hall that has a mortgage, we got good news for you. Well, we're gonna take away the mortgage. You'll have no mortgage on the Kingdom Hall. So the witnesses, they were so excited. And then in the next breath, but we're asking you if you could donate the same amount or close to what your mortgage was, and if you could make that donation every week. That's an actual fact. They did this reorganization. So a few years back, they did this. Now, what about the congregations that had their mortgages already paid? Well, they had to do the same thing.
But what about the 501c3?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's...
What about the 501c3?
Well, what about it?
What about it?
Yeah.
There are laws in regarding the 501c3.
501c3 is tax exemption for churches, but it doesn't impact this because some of these older Kingdom Halls, I can remember the brothers and sisters saying, but we paid for it. It's paid off.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so
what about the 501c3?
Their little congregation had done that, but then it was turned over to Watchtower Bible and Track.
That's exactly right, Pixie.
Right.
So they turned all these congregations.
And that means that they abuse their authority on the 501c3.
Well, I don't know if they abused it, Sheila. I mean, we're talking about the tax exemption. I mean, they were able to take, I don't see what taxes came into play here. I really don't see that. But I mean, regardless of what.
Well, I see it. I see it all over the place. I mean, I've been in real estate for 40 years.
Yeah. Well,
can we look into real estate and see what the real estate laws are? I know what they are.
All right, but
I'd love to see every tax. I'd love to see every church in America taxed, but it's probably not going to happen.
So, what would you suggest? I mean, Sheila, if you've been in real estate, I'm sure you're seeing something here I'm not seeing. But I mean, they took the Kingdom Halls over. There'd be no tax.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that there are real estate laws that if they take advantage of people, they could lose their taxes exemption. It's pretty simple.
Well, I can understand if they, maybe, okay, I can see where you're coming in the back door with this. In other words, where they're tax exempt, when they take the Kingdom Hall over, it's like, them.
I have a comment.
Well, hold on one second. So when they take the Kingdom Hall over, that there's a transfer of money, in some cases, probably $1 million for some of these halls. So the Watchtower is getting $1 million now in their portfolio. And of course, being charitable, there's no tax on that. So I see the angle you're coming from here, Sheila. Yeah. All right. So,
well, the angle is what's charitable. What did they do that was charitable? every 501c3 has to prove charitable.
Yeah, I mean, that is another rabbit hole. They claim to be charitable.
It's not a rabbit hole. It's a fact.
Well, it's a fact.
They haven't proved anything charitable.
Well, they have. They've met the necessary requirements by the Internal Revenue Service to be a charitable organization. They had to fill out.
They have to meet the requirement to be a religion. They don't have to do charitable acts. They should, but they don't have to.
Well, they have to at least.
The 501c3 Constitutional Act has to meet charitable. I promise.
All right. Well, if it does, I mean, they
pick that up because he is versed in contract law and he would know more about the depth of the 501c3. But I know a pagan group that applied for and got a 501c3. They're not a Christian organization, and they discussed with me at length about how they were a legitimate religion. So it comes under that as well as real estate.
I understand that, but what's a legitimate religion?
That's where you get into contract law again, and they are chartered as religions. But that's above my pay grade.
Well, I don't get paid. So.
Well, anyways, I mean, that's another subject, but I understand what you're trying to show here. They have to prove, if you're going to be a charity, because I've been filling out some paperwork, I thought about it myself, okay? But you have
Hello,
to.
Rick?
Yeah, hold on one second. You have to prove to the government that you are a charitable organization. The Watchtower just can't say, well, we're a charity, but they do. They prove to the government through this slimy ways of doing business that they are helping people. Well, when there's a disaster, we go in, we help people, we give money, we give food, and they.
Rick, I'm an witness now. My ex-husband worked for the IRS in the exempt organization division. He had a detail there when we were young witnesses. And the witnesses do not do anything charitable. They got their status through their religion, but that is why they started to have us turn in time. That's why it's not our time, because that is, they don't do, as hospitals, food banks, any of that. But what they do is, we're making society better by Bible education. So then the government said, okay, well, then it was sort of a compromise. Then we're going to need proof of this. So that's why they had us start turning in time. I remember when I was younger, there was a sister who was there from before we were turning in time. The witnesses were turning in time, and she refused to do it. And I never understood why until I learned there was a time when we weren't turning in time. But that's why they started. It was purely to keep their status as a charitable organization. So that's all they offer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hello?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. I thank you for calling me sir again. This is just Zachary.
Well, you have such a distinguished way, Zachary. I have to call you sir.
I just want to say this about that. Some of those tax laws. When you look at the United States Code, it's not a part of the Constitution, but this is the United States Code, and you go to Title 26. That's where you'll see the income taxes. Now, when you get down to 400, that's the thing everybody knows, 400, because that tells individuals how they can defer taxes. And that's why you have the term 401k, because when you get down to Section 401, sub K, that shows you how to defer income. Then you get down to the 500 area, and those are exempt organizations. And the witnesses are exempt under 501c3 because they are a religion. They're basically a church. And there's
Yeah, but I'm sorry.
But they had to start turning in time, or they had to do some sort of charitable work, or they were about to lose that status. This has been
and charity come under that, and it goes down to 501c, and it goes all the way down into the 20s because of the different types of organizations. But they basically get it for being a church. You know,
not a church.
They have regular meetings, and they have adherents that come. They have congregants that come, and they have a system of discipline. They have all that stuff, and so they qualify as a church.
That's correct, and they have to have a bishop, because this pagan man I knew, I questions, and in this particular pagan denomination, they said we have regular meetings and we have a man that comes around who's the bishop.
Well, may I interject? They are not, by their own definition, a church. They don't.
They're a religion. It doesn't have to be Christian.
They don't like the word church.
It doesn't matter whether it's Christian
they
or
don't
not.
like to use it.
In other words,
legally,
this is why they have the name Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. This is why they have Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. They will never be recognized as a church.
A road by any other name is still a road. They don't like the word church.
It could be the pagan Ordo Templi Orientis, which is a very pagan non-Christian group. They have 501.
No, we're talking about legal shit here.
Yeah, they have 501c3 and Ordo Templi Orientis. So it doesn't have to be a Christian denomination. They have to have regular meetings and they have to have a bishop.
Well, they don't.
They don't even have to have a bishop, actually.
So they have to have somebody that comes around and makes a report on a regular basis.
It doesn't have to per se be a bishop. It can be called anything.
Authority.
But they just initially the whole nonprofit thing for churches was obviously for religion, whatever we want to call it, was obviously for the betterment of society, because it truly was based on Bible education, just as the whole legal system is essentially in the founding fathers, et cetera, based even back to, way back to Rome, it's based on the Bible. So the whole.
Well, I think the Bible's wonderful, but that's not what the tax code is concerned with. They're concerned with regular meetings and an authority on a monthly basis or 6 months.
I'm telling you now,
and serving food.
Watchtower doesn't serve food. Watchtower was on almost lost their status, as if they had to prove that they were doing something, and that is why they had to start turning in time in the 60s at some point.
Well, what is that?
The hours show the amount of Bible education they're doing in the United States. Yeah, if they didn't have that, they would have almost lost their charitable status.
All right, we're not going to beat this
at the IRS.
We're not going to beat it to death here tonight. I mean, there's a lot of areas there that are really complicated, but we're going to let that go. We had a man wanted to say something.
Well, but Rick,
yes,
this is a challenge.
Yeah, but it's not a challenge. It's not a challenge. I mean, this
is Sheila.
Yeah,
my name is Sheila.
I got you, Sheila. Yeah. So why is it a challenge? You tell me what you want to do.
It's a challenge because it's time for the people who have suffered to stand up and say, no more, no more.
Well, who would those people be?
And we're all smart. We're all smart. And we all have overcome.
Sheila,
and it's time for us to stand up.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. They don't. I've been protesting the Watchtower for 6.
Well, I do.
Well,
it's time that we do.
Well, I'm glad you do, and I would follow in a movement that was created to do it. So we have to get more people to start the movement.
That's you. That's you. That's what
me?
You've done.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm so proud of you. and I'm so amazed over everything that you've done.
Well, thank you.
Like I said, I haven't joined into your calls or anything for over 5 years, but I've listened to them. It's time for you to stand up and be right.
Well, I'm 99% right most of the time, but no, I'm just kidding. But
no, I'm not. Oh my God, that's not what I was saying.
Yeah, no, I try to get people.
What I'm saying is time that we join together and do it right. Let's get it done.
Well, let's do it. Let's start the movement. I mean, when we're going to start? We're going to start with. We're going to start with, first of all, the people. I'll put something together. We'll try to come up with something.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Well, see if we can't get some people to come along with us. I have a hard enough time getting people to come to the Kingdom Hall and stand out in front with a sign. I have a hard enough time doing that. But
I mean that's weak.
That's weak.
Let's take it to the next level.
All right. Well, sounds good to me. I mean, I'm willing to do anything. I'm willing to do anything to try to expose the Watchtower. All right. Well, let's see.
Willing to do it too.
All right, Sheila. Well, maybe we can get a movement started here. We'll see what happens.
Can I say to Sheila that I mean, thanks for her thoughts, but it's really hard. I mean, I'm only a Johnny come lately to campaigning and stuff, but I've got to respect someone like Rick, who's been at this week after week for bloody years, long before I knew that the JWs were lying and everything. And it's really hard. I know from other stuff I've campaigned, when you're there and you're established, people go, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you? No, we all have to do it. And so I'm not going to, I mean, Rick has been very kind to me in the past. I've run him and gone, I'm not quite sure, but he allows those thoughts. And I think it's a bit harsh to go on at Rick about what he has or hasn't done, because I think he's done great. And he's kept there long before the rest of us.
I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, it just came over as that. No, so I'm not trying to be horrible.
What I have said is that I've watched Rick Farron for 5 years. I have never joined calls, and I have a family that has suffered insurmountable shit. Pain, suffering. No, and I understand. But what I'm reaching to Rick for is because he is a hero. And when I started watching him 5 years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. I don't have the platform. I don't have I lost my husband, my son is in prison. I mean, I have fought so many battles all by myself. And I'm okay with
just keep up with the joined up thinking, come on to community, find your community, and join us all up with you and your problems and Rick and everyone else.
Excuse me. What I'm saying is that Rick Farron has a platform that can actually bring it all to pass. He has so many connections.
But you can also develop your own platform, and you can make your own things and contribute to that in many myriad ways. Honestly, we all have a part to play.
If I was not a single mom, absolutely, I agree. But what I'm saying to Rick Farron,
I don't know what
you are.
No,
what I'm
I
saying,
understand
I'm not
talking
talking
to
you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Rick.
Oh, sorry.
You
are.
Well, what we're going to do? What we have?
Rick Farron.
Well, thank you, Sheila. Your commission check will be in the mail.
You are a hero.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Brother Farron?
Yes,
Zach. This is Zachary.
Yes, Zachary.
I just wanted to say, I like the volume. I was talking about Title 26, which is the income tax Internal Revenue Code.
Yeah.
I like the volume that comes right after that. Title 26 takes up, I don't know, 10, 15 volumes, but the one that comes right after that is Title 27. It's a single volume, and it's probably a favorite one to read. It's called Intoxicating Beverages.
Well, then what do we do about
That's
it?
what the U.S. government taxes us on the income tax under. They wrongly use Title 27, but that's a whole other issue. Have you ever seen the actual Internal Revenue Code book? That's real. They use ATF Title 27 to lien levies wrongly on the income tax. But that's a whole other topic. We won't go into that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Have you ever seen the actual Internal Revenue Code book? It's about 6 inches thick. The entire code book. I have one right at my fingertips.
Wow.
My ex-husband was an agent in the IRS, and he when we were young witnesses, he had a detail in the exempt organization. He was in entertainment, then they sent him to exempt plant. And this is when he started unearthing all this stuff about the witnesses. I would not listen. He would call me from work, and I would, I was like, this is a pocket. I don't want to hear it. And everything they own, the way they operate, and it is a fact they almost lost their status. They had to, that's why they started turning in time. But this was even before he started working for the IRS. He started working there in '89, and I started finding this out all in '90. And even before they went to when they started saying, we're gonna, no donate, no specific donation. Many people know why that started because of the tax in California, and they saw what was coming down. So that wasn't some move from Holy Spirit. Every move they make is a business move. They are the most worldly, as you know how we use the term worldly. They are the worldliest, most insidious of religions. And I'm sure I'm not saying anything that anyone here doesn't know. But they are probably the. How is it that they're so rich, right up under the Mormons, yet there's only 8 million? They're like, the people
all
are
right.
poor.
We got to kind of move away from this. I got some more news I got to discuss here tonight. But thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, no, thank you for sharing with us too, sister. The husband was an IRS.
You know what? I want to get some signs from you because you inspired me and my nephews and things. Because some young college kids. Well, we'll get some signs from you, but they had rented rooms from Watchtower, and they asked my son and my cousin, you guys don't go to college, but we rent rooms from the people in your religion. So we're going to get some signs from you, but I'll talk to you after.
Well, no, thank
you for,
I love you, man.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Everything you do.
Yeah,
you're a seed planter.
I love you, man.
And we all play a role.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. Well, that's good. Geez, I appreciate all the accolades I'm getting here tonight. I really do. I thank you very much.
I mean, Rick Barron, like, rock.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Well,
and not only because he looks like meatloaf.
This is usually not. Usually I get chastised every Saturday night, but it feels good to get a little pat on the back once in a while.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry. I have come in. I've said things. It's got to be nasty, and I think that you've allowed me to speak, and it's back and forth. So I do understand that. I just wanted to say that in the chat, someone has spoken that they have an update on Michael Moore and his death, and that they spoke to his widow and children this week.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people want to follow up on that.
What chat is that? What
really
sister from the UK?
On YouTube chat.
Oh, YouTube chat. Okay.
I follow on YouTube. Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully, maybe. What were they saying? Anything?
Life After Religion XJW said that he visited his grave and sat and took flowers to his wife, I think that means, and kids. So it's just something that people may following on from last week and previously that you may want to look at.
Excellent.
Because obviously that's really important because those people are close to our hearts.
Well, they are. And that Michael was quite a man himself. And what the Watchtower did, that's why I look at Friends. The Watchtower, and like I say all the time, I don't have a soft spot from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. These guys have hurt so many people, and even Sheila. And look at the problems that caused in her family now. And I mean, why life is tough enough without having some so-called Christian religion chasing you around and making life more difficult. But thank you all for speaking up and talking here tonight. I just want to make a comment here. Is Reese on with us? Is Reese on with us tonight? I know he'll be coming in from the belly of the beast. He usually comes in around 9:30. We're going to just keep going until we do hear from Reese. But I'm going to, talk about legal matters. And I appreciate all the legal issues here tonight. It was like a legal night at the Watchtower and all the different things we learned here tonight. And the sister calling in, and husband was an IRS guy and charitable and all of this. But just speaking of legal issues, this was a big week. This was the 20th anniversary. This was a big week in the Watchtower. A landmark decision was made this week, 20 years ago, in the village of Stratton, Ohio. And yes, now you guys might remember when you're going out in service, remember many of you had to go to the town hall first, and you had to let them know that you were going to a certain territory. I can remember that. And you had to give the license plate numbers, who was in the car, and you had to let the authorities, at least the officials at the town, you had to go to the police department, because usually it was on a Saturday, the town hall was closed. And you had to give permission. You had to get permission from the police, from the town, to actually go door to door. Well, the Watchtower was having trouble with this village, a town. It's only 500 people in Stratton, Ohio. And they did not want the Jehovah's Witnesses coming door to door. They said, no, we don't want that. So the Watchtower, they took Stratton to court. And this was the week that they got a decision on that. In the court, the Supreme Court ruled in the favor of Jehovah's Witnesses. And they went right to the Supreme Court. Now, I got some clips. If you're on YouTube, you're going to see it. And on Facebook, but if not, you'll hear it, and hopefully the clips will play. But I want you to hear some of the arguments that were given on why we should be able to go door to door. So let me see if I can't get the clip up. Let's play it now. Let me share it. Let me get the clip going. I'll play it. And just give me a second here. I think now it should be, let me make it a big screen. Let me see if I can't make it big screen. I believe that you are. Hold on 1 second, and let's get it started. We do have a lot of people with open mics. It would be nice if you guys could kind of, let me just mute some people here again. Let me see what I got here. All right, we got to mute people because I get people coughing. There's a bunch of sounds I hear. But let's see if we can. This is Hendricks. This is Hendricks. And let's see what he has to say.
Speech for all. This program is being streamed on YouTube, along with live Zoom feeds simultaneously serving 10 state bar associations.
Well, let me tell you now, this is it took me a little while to get this particular video, but this is Robert Hendricks speaking. Robert Hendricks, he's a Watchtower lawyer, and he was talking to the lawyers that went and presented the case to the Supreme Court 20 years ago concerning the Jehovah's Witnesses in Stratton, Ohio. And so they put together, the Watchtower has put together a video. I got to mute some people here, folks. I'm going to start having to mute everybody. So what the Watchtower did is they now have a media center that they're trying to build, but they're producing these videos. And this is propaganda. This is something they're now involved in trying to get lawyers and politicians to listen to them and how they have helped the political world and how they've helped America by giving us freedom and keeping freedom. Now listen to what Hendricks has to say here, and then we'll talk a little more about it. I'll play a little bit. I got some certain clips here. This is Robert Hendricks, lawyer for the Watchtower, and just see what he has to say.
And the country of Jamaica as a continuing legal education program. We welcome the hundreds of attorneys, government officials, jurists, and academics joining the broadcast today on one of those feeds. Now imagine being charged criminally because you failed to get the permission of the government before you knocked on your neighbor's door to talk about the garbage service, perhaps an environmental or political issue, or, as in the case of Jehovah's Witnesses, your faith. Essentially, a 1998 ordinance in the village of Stratton, Ohio, did just that. Jehovah's Witnesses challenged the constitutionality of that law, and the case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And on this day, 20 years ago, Associate Justice John Paul Stevens announced the High Court's resounding 8-1 decision declaring the ordinance unconstitutional. In its opinion, the court stated this: "It is offensive not only to the values protected by the First Amendment, but to the very notion of a free society, that in the context of everyday public discourse, a citizen must first inform the government of her desire to speak to her neighbors, and then obtain a permit to do so." The ruling naturally had a profound impact on the public preaching work of Jehovah's Witnesses almost immediately. But it also paved the way for all citizens to maintain an open dialogue with their neighbors on any number of issues: environmental, civic, political, educational, or religious, without governmental interference. This program looks back on that historic ruling and how it continues to protect free speech for all. Let's watch as our feature presenter, Josh McDaniel.
Okay, let's just stop there for a second. So again, this is Robert Hendricks, spokesman for the Watchtower. He's a lawyer, and he also is going to introduce two other lawyers. And they went before the Supreme Court 20 years ago this week because of them not, well, the county, the village, town of Stratton, Ohio, I'm sorry, said that they couldn't witness it. They couldn't go door to door. So he's coming on now. This is propaganda at its best. Since when are the Jehovah's Witnesses involved in politics or involved in the affairs of the world? This is a video. It's not, you can't see it on YouTube. I had to get kind of like special permission to get it. But anyways, I've got it, and I reviewed it today. And this is a video that's being played to many lawyers fighting for the First Amendment, to be able to keep the First Amendment. They are really sucking up to the political world here, friends, when they pull a stunt like this. Now, I'm going to fast forward. To, let's see, 52 minutes in. This I find very fascinating. And this is a rebuttal. This is two of the Watchtower lawyers, and they're in the Supreme Court, and they're being asked questions by, where is it? Huh. Oh, my spacer is not working. Huh. Always something going on. Well, let's see right here. Let me go back here, and I want you to just hear a little bit more of this. These two lawyers for the Watchtower. Well, listen to what they had to say. I'm having a hard time finding where we should be. Let me just start here and see what happens.
Grace Marsh, Roscoe Jones, Billy Goodvitis. All of these cases seem to stand on the shoulders of strong witnesses, strong plaintiffs. How important was Tammy in this call?
Oh, she was pivotal. She helped us.
Let me go back. I got to get this. My counter isn't working, but I'm going to play this. This is the woman in Stratton, Ohio, who was a Jehovah's Witness. And she was the one that almost got arrested, and the Watchtower wanted to talk to her about it, make a big hoop-de-dar about it. So let's listen to this. I think you'll find this very, very fascinating. Listen in.
One Jehovah's Witness minister by the name of Tammy Tuckish was stopped on her way out of the village. She had visited somebody that she knew, and she was stopped by the mayor, and he said, "We could put you in jail for this." Let's let her recount that unforgettable experience that changed her life and really set the course for the Supreme Court.
So in June of 1998, me and a couple of sisters were heading to the village of Stratton to stop to see people that we had talked to before. It was probably about like 5:30, 6 o'clock when we went into the town. we were only in there for about a half hour to 45 minutes. The particular ones I wanted to follow up with, I did not get at home. But one of the friends that I was with was able to get a person at home that night and had a nice conversation. And we was approaching the stop sign, ending the evening. I was a passenger and a sister that was driving, and then of course another one in the back seat. As we passed the Abdullah Tavern and was approaching the stop sign to exit Stratton, is when this gentleman approached our car and was very upset with us of why we was in the town. He came walking out screaming, like yelling or hollering at us to stop. I, of course, had no idea at that time who he was. And as he was very upset and yelling at us, I had asked him who he was, and he told us he was the Mayor Abdullah. We explained to him why we came back, that people had asked us and welcomed us back. And he still was very distraught and upset, shaking so bad that I was afraid of what might happen with him. But he was even wanting to throw us in jail, but since we were women, he wouldn't do that. When we left, thank goodness I wasn't driving, the other sister was, and we got to the Kingdom Hall, and I think we was just relieved to be at the Kingdom Hall. We went into the Kingdom Hall, and I let a brother know. He went and got a piece of paper, and I had a pen, and he had me write down everything that took place, who said what all, happened. My involvement from the beginning of this case was getting prepared for the Ohio court case in St. Clairsville, Ohio in 1999. And then after that, we went for depositions in Columbus. And then both of those transcripts went to the Supreme Court. Because I spoke is why they wanted me to be used in the particular case. I feel very privileged, very precious in Jehovah's eyes to be used as a tool by him, that he's allowing me to have a part in this case that has helped not only ones in that area, but also around the world. We know that if individuals choose for us not to come to their homes, they can let us know that, and we would respect that. As to the governments, if they require us to, what comes back to the things that the apostles said, that we want to obey God rather than men.
Well, 20 years later, she still has the fire. It reminds me of some of the research I've done to some of these seminal cases.
We'll stop it right here for now. But there you go. That was the sister that was told that she could be arrested, and so the Watchtower wanted to talk to her, and so they made a big case out of it. But it was a good decision by the court because in the discussion, I don't have time. Maybe next week I'll play some more, but I don't have time to play more right now. But I'm going to finish this up next week because you really have to hear some of the justices and what they had to say to the Watchtower lawyers. In other words, the Watchtower had a pretty good case here, obviously. It was First Amendment. And, next week I will play more of it. But just one thought I had, O'Day Connor, the woman jurist, not jurist, but Supreme Court judge, she brought up that, basically if you stop the witnesses, you got to stop trick-or-treaters, right? Or even if anyone say they wanted to go around with a pole, they couldn't knock on your door. So it was a good decision, and it does give people the right to go to door. But the Watchtower, the point I'm trying to make, they made such a big deal out of this. They promulgated it. They're using it for propaganda, and we saved the world because of our actions. We allow people are being allowed to go door to door and have freedom of speech. Well, what about our freedom of speech? Well, what about our rights when we leave the Watchtower? They fought so much for their First Amendment rights, but what about us as ex-witnesses? We can't say anything. We can't be in disagreement with the Watchtower. We can't have free speech. So, it's like a different story, but we're going to cover that more next week. We don't have time to do it right now. It's a shame. We ran out of time. I really wanted to bring this up to your attention, but that's good. We had some other issues we wanted to discuss tonight as well. But anyways, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask, is Reese on here with us? Is Reese on with us? Hold on.
John, there is no hold.
Reese, are you on with us? If you are, hit *1 if you would, or *6. Reese. Okay, so we're not hearing from Reese. So we'll see. We'll see if Reese is going to be on with us. I don't see him on the Video Suite, but we'll see. He wasn't feeling too good tonight, but we'll just wait and see what happens. And if not, we'll kind of get into another program here and talk about some things that I think he would have talked about tonight, and see if we can't get an audience to come in and voice their concerns and what they see is happening in the world around them. So we'll look to Reese. He usually comes in a little bit late here, and we'll just give him a little bit of time to see what happens. So after years of being politically neutral, which the Watchtower has been, didn't they tell you to be politically neutral? But here they are now with this YouTube video. You can't see it. You got to go through certain hoops to get it. But anyways, that video is being played to political people and showing them how the Watchtower fought for First Amendment rights. But, it's kind of sickening to me. You couldn't even talk about political candidates. When I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, don't even get into a political discussion. Don't even bring it up. But now here they are, completely different. Now they're even leaving voting up to you as a matter of conscience now. Did you know that? Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses, from what I understand, if they want to go and vote, they can do that. They're not going to be chastised for it. Boy, things are changing. This is not your father's.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
So if I'm a registered voter, that would not be a reason for them to kick me out?
No, from what I understand, no. They're now leaving it up to you as a conscience matter, Pixie.
That's a shocker. Wow. Well, I think everyone should vote. It makes you feel good, and it makes you feel part of the bigger civic duty.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to change the world or not, but it is fun to vote. I vote myself. My wife as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I believe in civics, and I believe in being part of your little town and community and all that. I got a story last night that I haven't been able to confirm yet. It's on the farm pages, and it was on a late night radio show last night that thousands of cattle have died in Kansas and Nebraska due to drought. Literally thousands.
Yeah.
So there go the meat prices even higher.
Oh, yeah. In fact, that's a fact. Now, Reese is going to come on. I'm sure he'll talk. I think he's coming on, so he will be talking about that. But I'm going to end this YouTube broadcast, and we're going to stay on here together talking. But I just want the people on YouTube to know that we should be back in a short while. So just hang in with us. If you want to listen to the rest of the program, go to 6screensofthewatchtower.com. Scroll down to where it says Video Suite, click on it, and listen in. It's that easy. So we're going to end YouTube here right now. So friends, thank you for coming into YouTube tonight. And hopefully we'll be back with Reese. If not, we'll be back and we'll do a little special program here tonight. So we're ending the YouTube broadcast right